Hey there! Today, in the Inkcyclopedia, we are going to talk about this ink. Iroshizuku Momiji. 50 milliliters, produced by Pilot. That's what it says on the label. Momiji ink was suggested by... I'm just cleaning my desk here, there's an ink drop. There we go. This ink was suggested by someone, and it makes sense, because this is a brand we haven't covered yet. It is my only Iroshizuku ink. It seems to be extremely well behaved, but I don't care much for it. And the reason for that is that, and this is a very personal thing, I think the color is a bit bland. And I've heard this from other people who said, well, I have other Iroshizuku inks. The colors are just a little, boring. When I use a red, I want it to be a bright blood red. When I use an orange, I want it to be a bright, sort of pumpkin-colored orange. When I use a Momiji, whatever that is, I'm sorry, I probably should have looked that up, I don't know what it is. I was expecting something a bit more intense. And the funny thing is, my camera probably won't pick this up, but this little red band at the lower end of the label seems to suggest that it's a bright red. Well, it's not. It's a restrained pink at best. And that's great. That's great if you like restrained pinks. But I don't. But of course, that's personal preference. I'm not saying it's a bad brand. As I said, it's an extremely well-behaved ink. One of the better behaved inks I own. So that's fantastic. I just don't care much for the color. Okay. Having said that, something that's very interesting about the bottle is you're definitely able to see that. You see this little pointy thing in there, but when you put the pen in the bottle, that's where the nib goes in. So it doesn't, slide around, scrape across the glass. It just sort of fits into its little niche, and it stays there, which I think is a very nice touch. Apart from that, I think this would make for an excellent perfume bottle. It's, it's a very interesting shape. It's definitely a high-end ink. Comes in a fancy bottle. Has a little bit of rope on there. And it's, some people love it. Some people don't. The best thing I can do is show you a writing sample. And that's what we'll do next. So I hope that's going to be useful. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Alright, here we go with Iroshizuku Momiji. I'll start with a bit of fine writing. Ink responds well, no skipping. Medium. Still have a cold, sorry. Don't you love how 1 week I can finish the writing on one line and then the other week I cannot? No idea what's the variable there. Broad. Lazy dog. And italic. skip. That's a strange A. Lazy dog. Okay. Triple torture test. No, wait, what do we call that again? Oh yes, triple passes. First do a single pass. 1, 2, 3. It's undeniably pink, I guess, this ink. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it works. There we go. Let's just wait until that dries. It's pink, it's restrained, it's not my ink. It's that simple. It's not ink I really care for a lot, but flexing. I'm just going to write Momiji. Some line variation. Have a look at the shading. There we go. I'll try to squeeze out a little bit of line variation from the medium. Not that easy with this nib. Angular script. Whoops, let's do a little bit more there. Broad. Just trying to do some different scripts to keep this a little interesting. Italic. You know what, before we do italic, let us see whether this is... yeah, that's dry. Second pass. Then, italic. Too many dots, that's fine. Okay. Water test. M for Momiji. Let it dry a little bit. And let's do some regular medium writing. And as those things are drying, let's have a look at our scorecard. Cleaning. Well, I'd say it's okay. I could get this from my pen, I think relatively easy. I think it was a little bit prone to staining, and if you look at my fingers, I used that special ink cleaning stuff I got in DC. And it's still on my fingers, so I mean that's clearly a bit of an issue. But you know, it's not that bad. But I've seen inks that are easier to clean. Bleed through. Well, we'll have to assess that when we get there. This still drying. While we're speaking of drying, yeah, that's pretty dry. Third pass, third pass, third pass, third pass. There we go. We actually need a choir for that, but since I don't have it, I have to be my own choir. Color. Well, pink. I guess it's pink, right? That being dry. Oh, the leg of my tripod was resting on my brush. Sorry! Well, it's colorful. We'll see how that responds. Let's first finish the scorecard. Shading. It sounded like Jaws. Shading. Shading. Shading, 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 shading. Well, never mind. Shading, I would say, is, well, nothing. I don't know. I mean, I just, when I look at this, I don't see a whole lot of shading. There maybe is a little bit, but I don't think it's particularly impressive. Shading, not really. Flow. Well, flow is very good. I had no issues whatsoever. I put the pen in the bottle of ink, drew up a full converter of ink, just wiped the nib and it wrote straight away. There was no skipping, no startup issues, no hard starts, so that's very good. Feathering, well, I'd say it's pretty good, but this is Rhodia, so let's have a look at cheap copying paper first and then we'll see what happens. Drying time. Well, I'd say that's good. Even on this paper, it didn't take that long to dry, so that's good. Waterproofness. Now, I thought this ink would just dissolve in water. But if I take a look at this, then I'd say it's not that bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not that bad. This is, I'm cheating a bit here. This is an ink cloth, so I will get some other inks on there, but I don't have a tissue at hand. As you can see, the writing is still pretty legible. It was dissolved there, but I have seen worse waterproofness. I've seen better waterproofness too, but I don't think it's bad, so I'm going to say it's okay to good. Now, we need us some copy of paper. Start with fine writing. No pressure. Then we get a fairly light pink color, I'd say, that is well legible. Medium. Average. Medium is average. But it works well. Sorry. a bit abroad. Well, interestingly enough, I don't see a whole lot of feathering. Italic. Italic. You can sleep with the fishes. Italic. Is it just me, or does it look like this italic actually says static? Well, it doesn't matter. Italic. You gonna sleep with the fishes, huh? Right. Whoa. The pen was launched. Doing this quickly here. The pen was launched. Angle is not good. Should be a little. Well, it doesn't really matter. Just to give you an idea. Did I just scare you? No, just to give you an idea. I think there's not a whole lot of feathering going on. Now, of course, I could push it. Paper on the wall. Who's the most feathering of all? But even when I lay down a copious amount of ink, I don't see a whole lot of feathering on cheap copy of paper. So that's actually pretty good. I enjoy that. I knew this was a well-behaved ink. I just don't care much for the color. Now when it comes to bleed through, look at that. The page is clean, apart from this bit, which is, well, I mean, that was extreme flexing, so... But even the wet stuff doesn't really bleed through a whole lot. So that's quite impressive. And on the Rhodia paper, same thing. These two bits are with the second and third passes. And for the rest, there's nothing going on there, so that's very, very good. I'm impressed. So what we've got, bleed through, good. Feathering, good. And that's all there's to it. So this was Iroshizuku Momiji. I hope that was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.